Hey guys, so today we will be singing a hymn called The Love of God, and we've really come to love this hymn lately because it is so beautiful, it is so simple, and so I just wanted to encourage you to stay to the end of the video because this time we put the typical introduction that we put at the beginning of our videos. We put it at the end, and in there we tell the fascinating story of this song, so I highly recommend for you to stay to the end.
The love of God is greater far than tongue or pen can ever tell. It goes beyond the highest star and reaches to the lowest hell. The guilty pair bowed down with care. God gave His Son to win His erring child. He reconciled and pardoned from his sin. Oh, love of God, how rich and pure, how measureless and strong, it shall forevermore endure, the saints and angels' song. When years of time shall pass away, and earthly thrones and kingdoms fall, when men who hear refuse to pray on rocks and hills and mountains fall, God's love so sure shall still endure, all measureless and strong, redeeming grace to Adam's race, the saints and angels' song. Oh, love of God, how rich and pure, how measureless and strong, it shall forevermore endure, the saints and angels' song. Could we rethink the ocean pale, and were the skies of parchment made, were every star on earth a quill, and every man a scribe by trade, to write the love of God above, would drain the ocean dry, nor could the scroll contain the bowl, though stretched from sky to sky. Oh, love of God, how rich and pure, how measureless and strong, it shall forever
is a Jewish poem called the Hadamut, written in 1050 by Meir ben Isaac Nehore in Worms, Germany. And the third verse says, "Could we with ink the ocean fill, and were the skies of parchment made, were every stalk on earth a quill, and every man a scribe by trade, to write the love of God above would drain the ocean dry, nor could the scroll contain the whole, though stretched from sky to sky." Those are beautiful words, and I love those words. These words were recently, within the past century or so, they were found inscribed on walls of the insane asylum in California. Somebody there seemed to have written them when they were in that insane asylum. So I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and it's also neat that this was a Jewish poem, like Benjamin said, but its words are really similar to a couple of verses in the Quran. And these verses say, "If every ocean become ink for the words of my Lord, surely the ocean would be exhausted before the words of my Lord were exhausted, even though we brought the like thereof as further help. And if all the trees that are in the earth were pens, and the ocean, 7 more oceans to replenish it, were ink, the words of Allah would not be exhausted. Surely Allah is mighty, wise." And of course, we would take those same beautiful words and say them about Yahweh, the God of Israel, and say that our God, his words will not be exhausted, and he is mighty and wise. And that seems to be what this Jewish poet did with these beautiful words, and took them and attributed to the God of Israel, whom we worship. And then hundreds of years later, a man by the name of Frederick Lehman, he took these same words and made them into this beautiful song, "The Love of God." And when he was 11 years old, he was walking down a country lane and just thinking about God. And he just suddenly had this experience where the wooden fence to one side of him started shining brightly like silver, and the grove of trees to the other side of him started shining brightly like a flame as well. And he had this experience with God, and he started writing hymns about God. And one day he was working in a factory, and the words of this Jewish poem, the Hadamut, came to his mind. And so he took those and made them the last verse, and added a couple of other verses about the love of God. And so it's really neat because you have Islam with those words from the Quran coming together and being made into a Jewish poem, so Judaism, and then Christianity with the rest of this hymn coming together. And then, of course, we're Mormons who are singing it. So that's pretty neat. And I just love the words of the song. If you really pay attention to them, they're so beautiful, about the love of God. And one thing that's so amazing about God's love is that we can't be worthy of it. It's not that we deserve it. It's that He is good and that He is loving. And that's why we can trust and have confidence in His love, because He is good, even if we're not. And His love is unconditional.